Senator, I do not.
Okay. In being head of the FHFA, isn't that a full-time job?
It's a very important position.
What you just saw was a United States Senator, a man who has sat at the top of the Senate Intelligence Committee for nearly a decade, absolutely losing it on national television. Senator Mark Warner is claiming that Bill Pulte, Trump's new acting director of national intelligence, is going to manufacture fake intelligence, send in ICE agents, and shut down American elections. That's an extraordinary claim. But here's what's even more extraordinary. Warner is so afraid of Pulte that he is holding America's most important national security tool, FISA Section 702, hostage, a surveillance program that protects this country from foreign terrorists and enemy states. He is willing to let it expire, to stop one man. The question you should be asking is, why? I'm going to give you the answer. And once you hear it, everything happening in Washington right now will finally make sense. Bill Pulte is 36 years old. He's a businessman, a philanthropist, famous for giving away money on social media. He was running the Federal Housing Finance Agency. No military background, no intelligence career. On the surface, that's a fair critique. Even some Republicans raised an eyebrow when Trump named him Acting DNI. But here's what the media is not telling you about why Pulte is truly dangerous to the Washington establishment. While running the Federal Housing Finance Agency, Pulte began digging into mortgage fraud allegations against Trump's political enemies. He wasn't playing by the old rules. He was using the tools of his office the way Trump's opponents have been using the tools of government against Trump for a decade. And now, as acting DNI, Bill Pulte has access to something far more powerful. He has access to the NSA's surveillance files. He has access to classified intelligence on how elections are monitored, how foreign interference investigations are opened, and crucially, how those investigations can be weaponized. President Trump said it plainly in the Oval Office. Pulte may, quote, find out some things about the rigged elections. That one sentence sent shockwaves through every corner of Washington. Here's what happened in the Senate this past week. And this is frankly jaw-dropping. FISA Section 702, one of America's most critical intelligence tools used to track foreign spies, terrorist networks, and hostile state actors, was set to expire on June 12, 2026. Renewing it should have been routine. But the moment Trump named Bill Pulte as acting DNI, every Senate Democrat except one, Senator John Fetterman of Pennsylvania, voted to block the renewal of FISA. Let that sink in. To protest one appointment, Democrats were willing to let America go blind to foreign threats. Warner pressed Senate Majority Leader John Thune directly, warning that all options were on the table unless Pulte was removed. The Democrat position was crystal clear. Remove Pulte, or we kill the surveillance program that protects American national security. Even Thune, who is not exactly a Trump cheerleader, pushed back hard. He said, and I'm quoting, "We don't need a weaponized DNI. We need professionals there." Republicans like Susan Collins, Bill Cassidy, and Lisa Murkowski joined Democrats in voting against Pulte. But Trump didn't blink. He told Speaker Mike Johnson directly he is not removing Pulte. Not for FISA, not for anything. So why is this one man worth blowing up America's entire intelligence apparatus? Keep watching, because the answer goes back almost a decade. Before we can understand what Warner is truly afraid of, we need to go back to what Tulsi Gabbard found when she became Director of National Intelligence. In July 2025, Gabbard declassified a series of explosive documents. She stood at the White House podium and said what many Americans suspected for years but could never prove. The Russia collusion narrative, the story that Donald Trump secretly worked with Vladimir Putin to steal the 2016 election, was not just wrong, it was deliberately manufactured. The declassified documents revealed that the Obama administration's national security team, knowing full well that the intelligence community had consistently assessed Russia was probably not trying to alter the outcome of the 2016 election, fabricated an intelligence community assessment that said the opposite. The documents named names: President Obama himself, CIA Director John Brennan, DNI James Clapper, National Security Advisor Susan Rice, Attorney General Loretta Lynch, And here's the part that should disturb every American, regardless of political affiliation. A senior intelligence official spent 6 years trying to report this wrongdoing through official channels and was threatened and silenced every single time. Gabbard called it a treasonous conspiracy. Trump called it treason. Attorney General Pam Bondi launched a Justice Department strike force to investigate. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't a miscalculation. This was a deliberate operation. And the question we need to ask is, who in Congress knew and helped keep it alive? Mark Warner served as vice chairman and then chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee from 2017 to 2025. That means for 8 years, he was the top Democrat with oversight over every single piece of classified intelligence about Russiagate. In January 2017, right as the Russia investigation was gaining steam, Julian Assange was offering to cooperate with the Justice Department. Assange had information that could have proven the WikiLeaks documents about Hillary Clinton's campaign did not come from Russian sources. That cooperation would have stopped the Russia investigation dead in its tracks. It never happened. Those contacts were shut down. Warner, throughout his entire tenure on the Intelligence Committee, was the most vocal defender of the Russia collusion narrative, using his platform, his committee access, and his security clearances to validate the story at every critical moment. Now we know the story was built on manufactured intelligence, and Bill Pulte, sitting in the DNI chair today, has access to all of the classified files that document exactly how this operation was run and who helped sustain it year after year. Is it any wonder Warner is in a panic? Now let's talk about the other name you need to know, Republican Congressman Brian Fitzpatrick of Pennsylvania. Fitzpatrick is not a Democrat, but he is leading the charge in the House to kill Trump's proposed $1.8 billion fund, a fund designed to compensate the victims of what many are calling lawfare, politically targeted prosecutions. We're talking about people like General Michael Flynn, George Papadopoulos, Roger Stone, and thousands of January 6th defendants. Fitzpatrick says Congress will not give a single dime to that fund, and he is working with Democrats to make sure it never passes. Why would a Republican do that? Here's what you need to know about Brian Fitzpatrick. Before he was a congressman, he was an FBI agent, specifically handling political cases. He was deployed to Ukraine before coming home to run for Congress. Throughout the entire Russia investigation, Fitzpatrick was vocal in his support of it. He lent his FBI credentials to validate the very narrative that Tulsi Gabbard's documents now show was built on manufactured intelligence. And that $1.8 billion fund isn't just money. It creates something far more dangerous to people like Fitzpatrick, a legal record, a publicly funded, fully documented accounting of who was targeted by whom and using what intelligence resources. That record would include the Russia hoax. It would include the Ukraine impeachment. It would include January 6th, and it would include the names of the people who made those operations possible. Let me pull back now and show you the full picture, because this isn't random. There's a clear pattern here. Phase 1, Russiagate, from 2016 to 2019, the manufactured intelligence operation designed to destroy Trump's presidency before it could even begin. When it started to fall apart, Warner's committee was the last line of defense. He held it together. Phase 2, Ukraine-gate, the impeachment. When Russiagate finally collapsed, the same network of Obama-era staffers and intelligence officials pivoted to Ukraine. They tried to turn Trump's phone call to the Ukrainian president into a crime. Gabbard's investigation showed this phase was built on the same playbook. Phase 3, the 2020 election. Gabbard showed up at the Fulton County Board of Elections in Georgia as the FBI seized evidence. She has so far been careful about what she says publicly on this chapter. But Trump is now pointing directly at it, and Bill Pulte is the man holding the keys. Each phase was designed to either remove Trump from office or prevent him from ever returning. Each phase used the intelligence community as a weapon, and in each phase, Warner and Fitzpatrick played key supporting roles. That's why they are fighting so hard right now. Not because they think Bill Pulte is unqualified, because they know exactly what he might find. There's one more piece of this puzzle that most American media is completely ignoring. The same week Warner and Fitzpatrick went to war against Pulte, two powerful voices in London spoke up. Former British Prime Minister Tony Blair and the Chatham House think tank, one of the most influential globalist policy institutions in the world, publicly declared that Trump is about to negotiate a ceasefire in Ukraine that will benefit Russia. Blair was blunt. Without America on London's side, he said, the Ukraine war cannot be won. This is not a coincidence. Fitzpatrick just led the charge in the House to fund Ukraine's war against the White House's own position. He also pushed to pull U.S. troops from the Middle East right as Trump is achieving real results there. The people fighting hardest to block Pulte are the same people fighting hardest to keep America locked into the Ukraine war. You have to ask yourself, who are they representing? Their constituents in Pennsylvania and Virginia, or a network of foreign policy institutions and globalist interests that have defined Washington's agenda for decades? Trump is challenging that agenda on every front, and Pulte, sitting in the DNI seat, is the clearest signal yet that Trump intends to use the intelligence community's own files to make the case to the American people. Here's where we stand today. FISA Section 702, America's most powerful foreign surveillance authority, is either expired or on the edge of expiration because Democrats decided their political survival was worth more than national security. The $1.8 billion lawfare fund is being blocked because creating a public legal record of what was done to Trump's supporters is too dangerous for the people who did it. And Bill Pulte is sitting in the DNI chair with access to a decade's worth of classified intelligence files, while the people who may be named in those files scream from every TV camera they can find that he must be removed immediately. They keep telling you this is about qualifications, about professionalism, about protecting the integrity of the intelligence community. But ask yourself, where was that concern for integrity when the intelligence community was manufacturing evidence of Russian collusion? Where was the professionalism when a senior intelligence whistleblower was silenced and threatened for 6 straight years for trying to report it? The panic in Washington is real. But it's not panic about Bill Pulte's resume. It's panic about what comes next. If this video opened your eyes, share it with one person who needs to see it. Subscribe so you don't miss what's coming. And drop a comment below. What do you think Bill Pulte is going to find? We'll be watching.